In my entire career, I've never seen something as powerful a force in the world as the smartphone that didn't also have unintended consequences, sometimes grave, sometimes everyday. If we intersect this device with the mission of Facebook, we find that this little black box has allowed us to connect to people far away from us, to share moments of our lives, and to do so unconstrained by time or distance. But it has also cost us something. It has allowed us to connect to people far away from us, too often at the expense of people sitting right next to us. We've all begun to feel it. We don't talk about it much because most of the discussion goes like this. If you were just strong enough, if you had enough willpower, you would put down that addictive drug that is your smartphone and honor the conversation in front of you. Usually this is said in a moment of anger or judgment. But that's the wrong narrative, and it's a false choice. This device is important. It allows us to be curious about the world beyond the one we can see right in front of us. It allows us to have empathy for people we might not otherwise know. It allows us to be adventurers and explorers, humanitarians, and citizens of the world. That's good. It's just that we know, intuitively and from experience, that we'd all be better off if we looked up a little more often. Now, voice interfaces have attracted much attention of late. Voice is referred to as the new type of OS. It's convenient, that's true. It reduces complexity, that's also true. I think that voice is important, but not for these tech-centric reasons, rather for a decidedly human reason. Because these new hardware platforms have enabled us for the first time in a long time to crawl out of this little black box and be back in the room where our lives are and where so many of the people we care about exist. Now, when viewed in this way, we realize that we've only begun to scratch the surface of what's possible. There's much, much more to do. So today and tomorrow, this is our goal at Facebook, to create and ship category-defining consumer products that are social first, to do so at scale, and to power this with a breakthrough innovation engine modeled after DARPA. Products that recognize we are both mind and body, that our world is both digital and physical, that seek to connect us with the power and possibility of what's new, while honoring the intimacy and the richness of what's timeless. Products that refuse to accept false choices. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Let's start with your brain. Your brain has 86 billion neurons that fire 1,000 times per second. Now, they don't all fire at the same time, so let's decrease that by a factor of 100. That would mean your brain is capable of producing about 1 terabit per second. About 40 HD movies are streaming in your brain every second. Now, if you haven't had your coffee yet, you might be moving about 10 times slower, so let's just say it's 4 HD movies every second. And herein lies the problem. How do I get all of that information out of my brain and into the world? What are my choices? Well, I'm speaking to you right now, and I'm transmitting at about 100 bits per second. That's the bandwidth equivalent of a 1980s dial-up modem. So, here's what we have. 4 HD movies per second streaming over a 1980s dial-up modem. Speech is essentially a compression algorithm, and a lossy one at that. That's why we love great writers and poets, because they're just a little bit better at compressing the fullness of a thought into words. So, what if you could type directly from your brain? It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize. And it's just the kind of fluid human-computer interface needed for AR. Even something as simple as a yes-no brain click would fundamentally change our capability. A brain mouse for AR. The woman in this video has ALS. She is completely trapped inside her body. She cannot move or speak, but she is typing with her mind, not with eye blanks, with her mind. An array of electrodes the size of a pea has been implanted where her brain would normally control her motor functions. The electrodes record her neurons firing when she imagines moving the cursor. Then the computer learns to move it for her. Using this system, she can type 8 words per minute. She is typing at 8 words per minute directly with her brain. Now, that's less than 1/3 the speed that you can type on a smartphone, but it is lightning fast compared to silence. So what if instead of using imagined arm movements, we could decode speech directly? Now, to be clear, we are not talking about decoding your random thoughts. That might be more than any of us care to know. And it's not something any of us should have a right to know.